All right, everybody. Welcome to the Killer Main podcast series. Today's episode is going to be on Pyramidhead, and we have the amazing FiuyrEh here. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is FiuyrEh. I'm at Pyramidhead main and DBD. I've been maining this killer for around nearly 3 years now, and he is by far my favorite killer to play. I do tend to play variety killer like every so often, but by far Pyramidhead is my lover. I'd say.
Your lover. That's one way to. Why is it? Why
Oh
is
yeah,
everyone who mains a killer a simp for their killer? It seems.
dude,
um,
it's Pyramidhead, man. Look at him. Look at him, man.
I mean, he does have those arms, so
Yeah,
you know what?
and the legs too.
Yeah, no butt anymore. But you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. Okay. How long have you been playing Dead by Daylight for?
So I've been playing DVD for oh my gosh, it's been I want to say since like Deathslinger came out. Yeah, I want to say Deathslinger came out. Around that time, that was like when you had like the old graphics and you had like the old like Survivor movement. This was also like back when like um Pyramid Head was just about to get released into the game as well too.
Mhm.
Um and then when Pyramid Head got released, dude, he felt like so nice to play in comparison until he does now. But we'll get into that a little bit
Yeah,
later.
because that was
But yeah,
before. That there was a lot of differences with him back then. I wasn't there for that time, but I've heard the stories. He was a menace back then.
oh yeah, dude, like people complain about his M2 faking abilities now. Oh, bro, you should have played a release Pyramid Head. You should have played against release Pyramid Head. It's a nightmare.
It was like Desslinger before his change, but somehow worse. Uh,
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
so I think that brings in the big question because you started before Pyramid Head, so he wasn't the reason you got into the game. Why Pyramid Head?
So the reason why I started playing Pyramid Head. Um, so I didn't like immediately like him at first. I kind of wanted to get into him, but I wasn't like 100% sure because like at first when I first started playing this game, right,
Mhm.
I was a Wraith main, so
That
I
is
had most of my hours spent on Wraith, and then I had a what was it? I can't remember what it was. It was either Trickster and Ghost phase, but I had a Trickster phase for
mhm.
like a month. Yeah, a Trickster phase for like a month, and then I made Ghost phase for I think was it 3 months? Yeah, I made Ghost phase for 3 months, and I was just kind of like rotating killers. I just wanted to like main people that I didn't really see any other people main. I never saw really any like good Ghost phase mains, any like Trickster mains. And then I was like, "Hey, let's give Pyramid a try." Like, he's a very, very strong killer, and I've never seen like anybody go for like crazy prediction shots with him before. And like, even when I went on YouTube, right, like I would never find like any Pyramid Head mains. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I would legit like never find any Pyramid Head mains when I like go search up on YouTube. So I was like, "All right, I'll dedicate the time learning this killer." And the better I got with him, like the more I liked him. So I just kind of stuck with him. And I mean, you know, here
Yeah.
we are now. Like 3,000 hours in this killer alone. Not even in the game, just on Pyramid Head,
Three
right? So I have a
thousand.
stupid amount of hours on him,
I
and yeah.
you brought up a couple funny things with that. I feel like every content creator I bring on here had like a ghost face main phase. It seems. I don't know what it is about that killer that attracts so many people to like wanting to play him so much at first, and then switching to like their actual mains. Um,
I I feel like everybody would like at least have to try Ghostface though, because like it's Ghostface. He's an iconic killer, right?
mhm,
I mean, don't get me wrong, like Michael Myers is too, right? But like, I mean, it's Ghostface.
right.
Right.
I
You know what
think,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. I think the other thing you said, there's not that many pyramid head content creators, which is even like now there really isn't, and it's very strange to me because he's like a flip machine. Like
Yeah,
going, well, like what I'm saying is like he has cool and fancy plays and hits you can get. He has a lot of depth to his character. Like there's so many like builds you can run on him. I don't know. It's just very strange that he's not as popular as I feel like he should be.
The the reason why I personally feel like he's not popular, because like you said, nobody mains Pyramid Head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, there are twins mains out there somehow. In all
I'm
fairness,
friends with all three of
but
them.
like, oh my, yeah, no, like I was saying, the reason why I think nobody wants to main Pyramid Head is just due to the fact that like he has such a hard power to get consistent with. Like, no matter how, I don't care how good you are with Pyramid, like I have 3,000 hours as killer.
Hmm.
I can't even be like super consistent with him. Obviously, I'm like a little more consistent with him when I first started with him, but because of the way or how delayed his power is in comparison to like any other M2 killer, it's not like a reactive power like Huntress. So the timing on it takes a long, long time to get good with. And is really, 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 really frustrating and very discouraging when you're first starting with him.
Yeah,
Um,
it's also because I was playing him a bit before this just to pass the time, but it's he's very punishing when you miss.
oh yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
argue he's the most punishing range killer.
oh yeah, by a mile. By a mile. If you're an M2 Pyramid Head main, right? Kind of like how I am, because I'm 90% M2 only.
Hmm.
If you miss 3 times in a row, oh my gosh, it's the worst experience ever. It is such a horrible feeling, especially when that survivor just holds W. If that survivor wants to hold W while you're playing M2 only and you're missing all the time,
Hmm.
yeah, you're gonna be very discouraged of playing Pyramid Head.
Well,
It's not gonna be a fun time.
yeah, and if you go against someone who knows how to because obviously if you're new, like you're not very good at predicting. So like if you're going against someone who can see the very big telegraph, and is very good at dodging, like you feel like your M2 does nothing.
Yeah,
As a newer player, obviously.
like yeah, no, like as a newer player, like I said, it is going to be very discouraging. Even if you have like thousands of hours in this game, like he's still really hard.
Mm.
Like he has a completely different what it was it skill floor? Yeah,
Yeah,
skill
skill
floor
four. Yes, yeah.
between like any other kind of different killers in the game.
I think
Um,
he's one of the rare exceptions of his skill floor is actually really high. Um,
yeah. It takes a lot, like a lot of skill to get good with him. Like a lot of people think that like all he is M2 faking and whatnot, which that's how a lot of people play. I advise you don't M2 fake with him. I advise if you are yourself are a newer pyramid player, just use his power more often, man. Just use his power. Like even if you lose your games, like that's the process of like actually, you know,
mhm.
learning Pyramid Head, right? You
Yeah,
just use the power more often. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get into that a little bit later, but as far
for
as
sure.
tips for new players, but he's also like I've we might get into this with changes too. I know I'm a little crazy for saying or for kind of saying this, but do you think his M2 isn't rewarded enough on healthy survivors? And what I mean
Uh,
by that is like let's say you hit them with a very edge of an M2. You lose more distance than if you just ran up and hit them.
it's one of those risk reward situations. Usually, if I'm going for a shot from like that kind of long range,
Hmm.
typically I don't really go for it if I'm trying to commit to that chase. I'll never commit to a chase and go for my power from long range.
Right.
Usually, most of the time, anyways. What I'll do is if I'm trying to hit from somebody from long range, I'll use it to put up split pressure. So if I see somebody that I'm already chasing and I have the opportunity to use my power on somebody else, I'll do it. If I hit them, cool. If I don't, it's whatever. Then I'll just continue my chase with the other person, or maybe I'll pull up some pressure on somebody else.
Hmm.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. It's kind of similar to how I like play artist. I'll chase someone normally as an M1, and then I'll just kind of chuck my birds around
Yeah.
to kind of semi chase other people, or kind of like Knight and how his entire power works.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so speaking of that, changes to Pyramid Head. So we talked about this briefly, where Pyramid Head has gone through not a lot of changes, but the changes he has gotten over the years have been, I would say, impactful towards him. The biggest being the M2 fake, which I think was a good change. But for those who don't know, back in the day, you could like insta get out of your M2. There was like no punishment. You could zone people instantaneously. It was insane.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and they got rid of that. The only thing right now that they've kind of changed is sorry. Is what is it? Is it a bug or was this like actually implemented? The camera thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I'm gonna break it down for you. I've mentioned this like 1,000 times on the show. I don't know how I did it, but here I'm gonna mention it again for the podcast. So basically, um, I don't know if it's something that behavior intended because like they never mention it in the patch notes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm afraid of the most is that it's an intended feature. That's what I'm worried about the most. If it's an intended feature, man, I'm gonna cry. Not literally, but like deep down inside, I'm gonna be like, oh, pain, man, this sucks. Because like I said, it never got mentioned in the patch notes. So I have to assume that it's a bug, right? Because like there's Pinhead. Pinhead has like a camera FOV bug with his chains, I'm pretty sure. Nurse also has an FOV bug as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Um And it does give me hope that it is also just a bug because, like, Bubba, when also had an FOV bug, like, basically, when Chucky came out, there was a lot of killers that had FOV bugs. Like, there was a ton of killers that had a FOV bug, so I would have to assume that it's just a bug, and they never fixed Pyramid Heads yet, so I'm kind of been sitting here waiting for them to fix them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I think Chucky they had to retool how the camera works, and Chucky also came out right before the FOV changes in general because they added the slider. So I think that probably affected
Yeah.
things because that's from what I understand. That's why Huntress had the bug she had, where the hatchets were like slightly off centered more so than usual. Um,
Yeah, that's what I was hearing too. I was like,
no one was sure
yeah,
though, so we still don't know if that's what caused it.
right,
Um,
for sure, for sure.
yeah, because like when Hillbilly came out, a lot of or his rework, a lot of collision in the game got messed up. Not just on
Oh,
him,
really?
yeah, but not just on him, but on a lot of killers. Chucky was miserable to play on RPD because the collision got messed up on that map a lot after the Hillbilly change. We still don't know if they fixed it, but it seems like it's fixed now. I I, I don't know. I mean, behavior isn't the best at communicating some changes though, because like I mean
Yeah.
they added a whole new add-on for Pyramid Head and we didn't even know.
Oh, no, no, it was actually, it was in a separate note. I can't remember where, but it was there, and there was they changed up 15 different add-ons, I'm pretty sure. They changed up one for Night. I'm pretty sure they changed up one for a couple other killers, if I'm not mistaken.
Freddy got a
Um,
new one, and Pyramid Head got this one. The rest of them were all just adjustments to Mangled.
yeah.
Like, but
Yeah, there were just adjustments to Mangled, and, like, even, even the new Pyramid add-on, the purple add-on with that flex by Mangled and, Hemorrhage.
mhm.
Like that even that add-on too, like that add-on's like it's okay, right? Like it's not the best add-on in the world, but it's something.
Yeah,
It's something. I'll take it.
we'll get into add-ons, I guess, in that case. So I have said probably 4,000 times why Pyramid Head's add-ons are just not good, and I'm curious if you agree with me on this. The
Oh,
only add-ons that
absolutely.
most people run are the range ones, for the most part. There's 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 the random builds where you run other stuff, but for the most part, it's his ranged ones. And I
Yeah.
think the reason for that is because it's the only two add-ons aside from the new one they added that directly affects his M2. Every other add-on is his trail,
Right.
and I think that's
So
the problem.
so um it's a little bit hard to like I don't know, man, because like yeah, no, like the range add-ons, right? They're the only like really good ones besides his The purple add-on, and actually his duration I use quite a bit,
Mhm,
is, his tablet of Oppressor and Spearhead, which increases the duration of how long you can, hold down your M2 while walking.
mhm.
Um, I typically use that for, like, a little bit more, sweatier builds if I'm trying to zone out a survivor.
I got you.
Um, but yeah, no, duration, range, and the purple add-on are his only add-ons, and they're not even, like, that good, right? Like, his duration add-ons are, like, mid at best. Purple add-on, also mid at best, and his range add-ons, they're pretty solid. Okay? That's the way I would put it. The rest of his add-ons, trash. Rest of his add-ons, trash.
They're
Um,
I don't even know what half of them do, that's how bad they are.
yeah, I don't either half the time. I'm gonna be honest, like, there's this one yellow add-on called Yellow Leopard Print Fabric, I think it's called. What it does is it increases killer instinct by a half a second. Half a second. Like,
Value.
when are you going to need killer instinct realistically for half a second? Like, maybe if it was like 10 seconds, I would run it. Maybe. That's a big maybe. But like at the end of the day, like if you're a good pyramid head, you're not gonna rely on killer instinct. You're gonna rely on your actual instinct, like your
Mhm.
game sense, and you're gonna rely on aura reading. That's what you're gonna rely on at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean his Eries are like the goblet is wait, is the goblet the aura reading one or is that the other one?
No, the aura reading one is Iridescent Seal Metatron,
Okay, yeah.
the other one.
Yeah, the that one is fine. I mean, it's like the main use of it is to know where the caged went, but if you're good enough, you will eventually figure that out. Also,
I
it's not the
yeah.
biggest deal in the world to know where it is most of the time. Um, and then the undetectable one is just why couldn't it just be your undetectable while your sword's in the ground? Like, I know people have mentioned this before, but why can't it just be that?
I
It would.
mean, it technically kind of is, but I mean, it's hard to control, if that makes sense. I've never actually, like, used the add-on before myself. That's how bad it is. I've
It's
never used it myself.
it is very gimmicky on like you can use it on like Gideon's, and
I
like put with duration and just like put trails around the entire map and just be undetectable for 90% of the game. That's the only
I
time I've ever seen anyone use it.
I mean, if you're going for, like, a very memey stealth build, I mean, hey, run it. It is what it is, right? Well, like I said, it's very, very hard to, like, kinda control, and I don't really use it, and even if you are able to control, when you can and can't step your torment,
Mhm.
um, or, like, just, like, going undetectable when you need to, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Even then, it doesn't, like, really matter. Like, it's just a bad add-on, and also the Iridescent Sail Metatron, his other Eerie add-on, the one where you can, yeah, cage the survivor, you can see all the other survivors' auras for 6 seconds as long as they're tormented.
Mhm.
Um, even that one, like, it's actually not, like, a horrible, horrible add-on, like, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's kinda in between okay and bad. That add-on actually would have been pretty fucking solid. Sorry for my language.
You're good. You're
I
good.
don't know if I'm allowed
I
to
I
swear or
got
not.
cussed like a sailor and we're past the 7 minute mark. You're good.
Alright, for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, that add-on would have been good if they actually released that, one PTB change that they were gonna do to Pyramidhead, where anytime you M2 a survivor, they get inflicted with torment.
We were.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna bring
so if
that
that
up, but go on.
add-on
Sorry. Go.
yeah. I was just gonna, like, add on. I was gonna be like, yeah, no, like, if that change came out, like, I would never lose a game, man. I would actually never lose a game of Pyramid Head if that was a change, especially with that add-on and, like, range add-ons. Oh, dude, there would be so many things I could do with Pyramid Head. And
So
honestly go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of that, what is your opinions on that change?
Okay, so my opinions for that change. Yeah, no, honestly, like I said, I would never lose a game if that came out.
do you,
I would legit never lose a game
do you think it
ever.
was too good?
I do think he was too good if you were good at Pyramid Head. I think you would be S tier if you were like really, really good at Pyramid Head. If you were an average at Pyramid Head, he'd be a top A tier probably. But
Hmm.
if you're like really, really good at Pyramid Head, he'd be competing up with like Nurse and Blight, arguably, I'd say. And that's as a good Pyramid Head.
Right.
Let's just keep that in mind. All right. Um, but yeah, no, I do think it was a little bit too strong what they did. I even remember like when that change came out, I remember I had like a ton of people always coming to my chat. People were looking for Pyramid Head mains to get their opinion on the changes. I had so many people come into the chat and be like, "Hey, what do you think of the new add-on change?" I had to make a command. All right, chat was getting crazy. Everybody was trying to ask me, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess. I just stopped asking the question. I was like, all right, I'm not answering the same question 15 times in a row.
Yeah, I gotcha. Not to keep not to keep asking the same question, but if they made an iridescent add-on, do you think it would have been fine instead of just base kit?
If they made an add-on like you and someone in chat said, honestly, if they did, they would kind of have to rework it too in some sense. Like you couldn't like just because like think about this, right? If somebody is injured, right?
Hmm.
And they're going for an uncage. And they're trying to remove their torment because for those that don't know, if you uncage somebody while you're tormented, your torment actually gets removed.
Hmm.
Um, so if you do that, they would just get that down person would get re-tormented, and the person off cage would be down and get tunneled out and get caged again. That
Didn't
where you're
think
having extra pressure.
I
The
didn't
only thing
think of that.
I would have it as an eerie add-on. I just want to make it so that you can like tunnel somebody off the cage because that'd be too strong
They could add a
in that sense.
buffer, like an immunity period, maybe after you get uncaged. The other thing, like I thought about, because I thought about this with Huntress's iridescent add-on, the hatchet, because a lot of people don't really talk about it that much anymore, but people aren't the biggest fan. I would just make it. What if like let's say the last meter of the punishment applied torment.
Honestly, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. I would be down for something like that because like it'd be it would kind of have to be situational, but it would also have to require you to focus and aim your power very strategically as well too,
And
which could either be very hit or miss,
it
to be
rewards
honest.
you for hitting those long range shots. Like even in
Oh yeah,
situations where like it wouldn't be ideal to even go for it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, but the like only 1 meter though, it's like such a small time frame. I'm like very ever like rarely getting those hits off. If I was to do something like that, I'd probably just run like the one range add-on and then or maybe not even a range add-on. Maybe I'll just run like no range add-ons and duration add-on with that. Maybe even I don't know. I'd come up with something if that was implemented into the game.
yeah, I've had so many add-on ideas for Pyramid Head because like another thing with his add-ons I find very frustrating is I feel like there's a lot they could do that could change the power. Like I've had the idea for like making it like have the range but make it shoot out in a cone instead of a straight line in front of you.
Also, like make it shoot out in a different shape.
Yeah, or like
Um,
someone thought about I forgot someone mentioned this to me once. Have an add-on where it shoots in front of and behind you.
oh, dude, if that I would actually run something like that. Yeah,
Uh
I would actually like so run something like that. Yeah, like if I was running a range channel with that dude and I had like all survivors right next to me, bro, it's a field day for me with that add on.
yeah,
It's a field day for me.
and then I heard one idea of giving him an exposed, a quote unquote exposed add-on, and the way it works is you can't move. That's the downside to it. You can't move once your sword's in the ground, but your M2s instantly down people.
Hmm.
I do not know how
Now,
strong that would be.
okay, here's the thing.
Hmm.
I don't think it would be very strong because the second the survivors know you have that add-on,
Hmm.
um, they're just holding W the
Right.
entire time. The second they know that you have that add-on, they're just gonna hold W on you. I can just see it now. I can see the shift W key to the other side of the map right now. I can see it now.
I just think it would be fun and like different, I guess. I don't know. Plus, like you could like do like undetectable builds with that. It would actually give the goblet a use.
It would actually give the goblet a use, yeah.
Um,
And,
go ahead.
like, to be fair oh, yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say, like, I don't know, like, I'm kinda, like, still debating, like, whether it would be good. I don't know, cause like, I go for quick shots, right? And when you go for quick shots, you're kinda, like, forced to be put in place either way, right?
Hmm.
But, I don't know, I guess it just depends on the timing too, you know what I mean?
Well,
I guess it just kinda depends on timing.
you also gotta. It's one of those things because I played Deep Rock Galactic and there's a thing in that game for the gunner who has like a minigun. He has a mod he can put on
Mhm,
it where it like triples the damage, but he can't move when he uses it. And it's one of
mhm.
those ones where like you don't realize how much you actually move, even tiny bits, um, until after you put that on. Because when I
Okay.
when I say not move, I mean like you plunge the sword in the ground, and you're just stuck there. Like you can still like move the camera and whatnot and like go for the shot, but like you can't like even do micro adjustments.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I once again just spitballing. Um, Someone also did bring up that is there a single add-on that has anything to do with the cages?
Yeah, the iridescent seal of, Metatron every time you, like, cage a survivor, you can see the survivor's auras, but it doesn't have anything, like, very, very specifically to do with their cages, if that's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
that's what I mean. Because
There's
I,
no
I
add-on like that.
I find that one kind of odd. I feel like they could maybe give him like this might be too much, but like scourge hook situations with his cages. Like nothing insane, but like maybe like once they're uncaged, they have mangled and hemorrhage for like 80 seconds or something.
Yeah, yeah, like a skirt trick add-on, honestly, that would be an idea and a half right there, I didn't even think about that. I wish I came up with that, actually.
Well, because like he
Um,
he has like he's one of those killers who has like three components to his power. It's the punishment of the dam, the trails, and the cage. And there's a lot of add-ons for the trails, not that many for the M2, and virtually none for the cages, which is just very strange.
I don't know, man, like, cause when Pyramid Head first came out, right, we had a couple of the older developers, right?
Hmm.
Imagine if we had, like, some of the newer developers that we have now, like, where you have, like, some of the iridescent add-ons for Wesker where everybody's, infected at the beginning of the game. I'm pretty sure, like, for Dredge 2, where everybody is in Nightfall at the beginning of the game.
If
Like,
everyone's
maybe, like, even, like, an add-on where everybody's tormented at the beginning of the game. That's what we would probably get if we had, like, some of the newer developers. I would
that
have to assume so anyways.
that would be it doesn't sound that bad, like necessarily, but that would someone who knows how to abuse that
Yeah, someone that knows how to abuse that shit is gonna pop off, bro.
you
Is gonna
down
pop off.
down someone super fast, put him on a hook, wait by the hook or wait nearby the hook, proxy camp it a bit. Someone comes with a save, you get them, they get straight off, you down them, you cage them, you go tunnel them off the cage. You could have.
No, it's not even that. You could probably just tunnel them immediately. Like if you're on a small map, like
Mm-hmm,
let's say you're on Wrecker's Yard, where it's easy to put split pressure up on the map. And for me, the cage spawns are very easy to predict.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're just able to like cage somebody and just down them, like it's just GG's at 5 gens. It is just GG's, especially if that Pyramid Head wants to tunnel too. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do against that?
Yeah, he's a weird enigma with that because a lot of times I bring up like bring anti-tunnel perks, and then Pyramid Head's like the one exception to that. If you're going up against a Pyramid Head who wants to tunnel you, he's like the killer that will do it.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
with little to no resistance, if they know what they're doing. Um, it's yeah.
Hmm.
But base kit though, to get off add-ons, is there like any like major changes or even minor ones you would make to him?
For his base kit, I'd probably change up the fact that right now he has like a very short and like stubby range.
Mm,
I feel like his range feels like very very short at base kit. I'd probably just buff his range, give him like base kit Burning Man painting, something like that.
okay.
Um, 'Cause, like, the more I just honestly think there should be more general changes overall to, like, his, to, like, M2 ability because it'll give newer players more of a reason to actually use his power, like we mentioned earlier, where there was, like, no real incentive to at all.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I for me, I'd probably just buff his range a little bit, um, and maybe make it less clunky to drag his power because at base kit right now, his power feels extremely, extremely clunky. And when Pyramid Head first came out as well too, like we mentioned earlier again, um, he felt so much more smoother. He just felt so smooth when he first came out. Like you can like drag his power with like no like camera bobble. It just felt so nice. It just felt so 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 nice. Release Pyramid Head. Now he just feels like a clunky mess.
I mean, that's
To
the
be honest.
problem with, because I understand why they did the changes they did, but it's one of those things where I've said this before with like Chucky. People have talked about how after Scamper he shouldn't be able to aim one, and it's like the problem with that is, while I agree with it from a balance perspective, it would feel so clunky. Like,
Yeah, it's just
because like Clown has a similar thing when like you throw a bottle, like you can't M1 for I think it's like 1.5 seconds afterwards. It doesn't seem like that much, but it matters a lot, and it doesn't feel good.
yeah, especially like when you've been used to something too for like so time and you've been making that killer, you just like get a change that affects you,
Hmm.
even by, like, half a second. It does affect your playstyle a tiny bit, I would say,
Yeah.
in some sense.
Um. Someone just brought up the thing with if we make the range base kit. Do you think that would make more of his add-ons more viable or more used? I honestly don't think it would personally, but
Personally, yeah, no, not really, because like I said, like you mentioned, like, how I already know, like, his add-ons are mostly trail. Like
hmm.
like, if they gave him more if they just gave him, like, more M2 useful add-ons, like an aura reading add-on, or, like, even, like, a cooldown add-on, or just something, man. They just gave him something good, in terms of using his M2, something that encouraged newer Pyramid players, like I mentioned, to use his M2, then honestly, um, then they'd be more, worth the while, I'd say,
Right.
for me personally.
And really random. I always bring this up because no one really talks about it. Especially on Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head's teachable perks are probably the some of the worst in the game. um,
I mean, to be fair, Trail Torment, it's not that
now,
bad as it once was.
yeah, the trail now is good. What is his other ones? Deathbound and what is his last teachable?
Dude, I can't even remember myself. What the heck? I'm, like, blanking right now.
It's Trail of
Um,
Torment, Deathbound, and is it that not good?
Hold on, not me looking it up
Force
right
Penance,
now.
Force
Force
Penance. There
Penance.
you go.
That's a yeah,
Yeah,
Force Penance.
chat with
Okay.
this chat with the
Yeah.
save. Force Penance is fine. It's a very situational perk. It has its issues, but it's fine. I think it's mostly just Deathbound, which is odd because I think it's his most interesting perk.
Deathbound, it's more or less used for, I guess, like, kind of, like, free information. Like, the information, it's not that useful, like, you're better off running other information perks. It
Hmm.
it is what it is, honestly. Not that great.
Yeah, but it is a little disappointing because a killer, especially a licensed killer with like bad teachables, means that a new player coming to the game, unless like they really into Pyramid Head, they don't really have an incentive to buy him. And I know I'm being a shill for, oh, behavior needs to make money. I'm just saying, like people tell people buy artists to buy Pinhead because their perks are so good. You know what I mean? Like no one's out here buying Pyramid Head for his perks either. Um,
Yeah.
which I never really,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I never really thought about it. That might be a contributing factor as to why he has such a low pick rate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of reasons. There is a ton of reasons why, but yeah, that's also another one of the main reasons because he just generally just doesn't have any good perks because like people ask me all the time, like, "Hey, do you think I should buy Pyramid Head?" I just like, I don't know what to tell you, right? It's like, do you want to buy him for like the killer? Do you want to buy him for his teachable perks? Like, why do you want to buy Pyramid Head, right? And it's like, if you want to buy him for the killer, like just the killer alone, like, yeah, sure, do it. But if you're trying to buy him for his teachable perks and his good add-ons, you might be a little bit disappointed. I don't know.
But yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah.
other than the clunkiness, though, I really do think Pyramid and his add-ons, I do think Pyramid Head's in a decent spot, overall. Like, anytime anyone talks about like killer strength, like he's up there. Like he's not like super super high, depending on who you ask, but you know, he doesn't. We'll probably get into this a little later too. He doesn't really have any terrible maps. Um, there's not really many situations where he's like bad in. He can play most loops just fine. Uh, other than like the ones that everyone suffers on. Uh, Bad Ham, FiuyrEh Crows, things like that. But yeah, like I don't really think he needs to be touched too much. I think just some quality of life stuff mostly.
Yeah, no, he also just yeah, he just needs like quality of life, stuff like that. Like his Pyramid Head, he does have a strong base kit,
Hmm.
right? He does have a strong base kit, but his add-on, he does need like some sort of add-on change, right? To go along with his base kit for me.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
before.
then like how you mentioned with the maps and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, like anytime like I get a survivor that sends me off to like Yuri or Bad Ham Man, oh, bro, you better pray I don't cage you, and you better pray that you don't have off the record, or you do have the off the record. You better pray that you have decisive strike. You better pray that your teammates are having flashbangs and everything, man. Because you're not making it out of that game if you're sending me to the map. I'm just saying.
um,
I hate those maps so much, man.
yeah, and
I,
before
I I do not like those maps.
before anyone says it, I am aware that other killers need add-on changes more than Pyramid Head. Okay, I'm aware. I know Freddy needs them. I know Myers needs them. I know. I know. Just because I think that more than one killer needs add-on changes doesn't mean like my priorities or shit, whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
there's always that one guy who's like, "No, this killer needs it more." I didn't say Pyramid Head needs it more. He just needs it. Um.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, you don't have to really mention the add-ons here, but is there any like specific builds like you prefer to run? Like, obviously the sweaty combo, pain res. Like, do you run pop on Pyramid Head personally?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely. I know some other I'm friends with a comp Pyramidhead, who's also like on the DVD leaderboards.
Mm-hmm.
He typically runs pop a whole lot. Not for me. Like yeah, it all depends on your play style. For me
Mm-hmm.
personally, however, I will say though, like running hook related perks isn't like super. Um, what's the word? It doesn't synergize well with his power.
It,
It does not synergize well.
that is true, but like I'm one of those people who's always like the idea that you're never gonna hook somebody is I think that's a little naive in my opinion sometimes. Not to say like you should like center a whole kicking build or a hooking build around Pyramid Head, but you're still gonna get a hook here and there. Is
Yeah.
is it worth bringing Pop for like 3 hooks? Probably not, but he can still run it.
Okay. So for me, for like the builds that I typically run, for if I'm running like a sweaty build or something like that, it'll typically be Pain Res, Corrupt, Dead Man Switch, and the Grim Embrace currently right now.
Hmm.
That is my current build. If I'm just kind of like chilling out, like kind of like relaxing a little bit, I'll probably run like Gearhead, Nowhere to Hide, Lethal Pursuer, and I'll run one slowdown. I'll put a No Way Out typically.
Did you run Gearhead before the changes?
No.
No. Okay.
I ran them currently right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that new Gearhead is such an underrated perk, man. It is
It
so good for killers like Huntress, Pyramid Head, Plague even.
it's
So good.
it's just good info in general. Like there's killers who can capitalize on it more, obviously, like Pyramid Head, but It's like I don't want to say it's underrated necessarily. I think people know the strength. I just think it's underused.
No, I wanna say it's, like, still underrated. I never see anybody run it, dude. I'm telling people, like, if you're, like, a new Pyramidhead player or, like, you wanna, like, get free information on, like,
Hmm.
general as a newer killer main, like, Gearhead's the way to go. Like, you can't go wrong with Gearhead. Gearhead is a solid choice, man. It is such a
No,
solid choice.
no, I'm all ears.
So, okay, so for I'm all ears, that's a training wheels perk.
Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
just gonna say that is a training wheels perk. You only wanna use that to get your feet off the ground because with I'm all ears, it teaches you to learn where survivors are going and how survivors path around like tiles and loops that you can't typically see around after they fall.
Mhm.
Um, and you want to use this to get like a good game sense of like how survivors path, like I mentioned, right? So after you get like a good game sense of like how survivors path over time, I'd take that off. I take it off. I would never run on Pyramid Head ever again. For me personally, okay, that's just what works for me. Because like I don't ever run it because
Mhm.
I'm a good Pyramid Head. I'm very confident in my ability to do well with him, with or without it. And I just think that running it kind of like messes with my game sense of like where I need to aim my power. After Survivor Vaults. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you. I just it's a I don't run it often anymore, but when I started playing the game, because when I started playing the game, I actually Pyramid Head was one of the first killers I bought, and everyone was telling me run I'm all ears on him. So I was just more curious. I don't run it anymore, but yeah. Um.
Hmm.
So yeah, the pretty standard builds on Pyramid Head though. Do you have any like wacky crazy builds you run, like a meme build or anything like that?
Um, I guess I kind of like run like a slug. I guess I run like a slugging catch up kind of build if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it involves infectious fright, force hesitation, batteries included. Sometimes I'll run machine learning. If not machine learning, I'll probably just run shoot, what's my fourth perk? Um I'll probably just run like some haste perk or something like that. I'll run something like super like non-slowdown, just something that like revolves around the build. Like me, every time I hit a survivor, my M2 or I downstarve my M2, I'm able to catch up to them like super duper quickly. Is what the whole premise of the build is.
Mm-hmm.
And get in the game, it's gonna work a lot better with perks like batteries included and stuff like that. So that's typically like the out of the ordinary build I would kind of run
Mm-hmm.
in that
Any
sense.
any thoughts on save the best for last Pyramid Heads?
Please don't do that. No, I'm canceling you on Twitter if you run Save the Best for Less on Pyramid. I'm just letting you know.
All right, I think this interview's
It is
over.
worse than Stabiffle demo, bro. It is like worse than Stabiffle demo.
Me hit me go fast is fun. it's
No,
it's
stop.
literally my only reason. I don't run it that much, but like when I do, that's literally my reasoning behind save the best for last.
I
Um,
mean, sure, if you're trying to be a butt muncher
mm,
and like just trying to be an asshole, like sure, I'm too fake. But like at the end of the day, like if you want to get like really good with Pyramid Head, you need to use his power more often, and Stabiffle kind of like brain rots you into like avoiding that. Same thing with any M2 killer, for that matter of fact, I should say. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's the way I look
I
at
do
it.
think a couple of them still use Stibiffle fine even with that, but like I've told people before, I think Stibiffle and Chucky is actually super underrated personally. Um,
Okay.
yeah, well, because the idea isn't to not M2, the idea is to M1 then M2.
I mean, that's completely fair when you look at it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, right? It's just for me, right? Like anytime like I'm playing an M2 killer, I never run Stabiffle because like I focus and I prioritize myself on learning the power first. That is what I focus and prioritize on. That's why like I was able to get so good at Pyramid Head.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like when I did first start playing Pyramid Head, I did run Stabiffle on him. And when I stopped running Stabiffle on him, I improved dramatically.
Fair
I
point.
improved
Yeah,
dramatically.
I got you.
Yeah.
Same thing with demos. Like, I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world, like from a power level wise, but like from a perspective of learning the character. Um, and it also helps. Once again, I'm gonna bring up Chucky a lot because I always do, but you know, the cooldown on slice and dice is 18 seconds minimum, so like
Hmm.
you can't just go around using it the whole match at all times. So you do M1 quite a bit on him, even though he is technically an M2 killer. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That's quite fair. That's quite fair. If you do have like a long cooldown of your power, I could see why you would want to use like an M1 perk or like something to help you catch up.
I
I
never
could see why.
I never really thought about it. Is Chucky the longest M2 cooldown in the game?
You could be. I think so.
Huh,
Uh,
18
I
seconds?
mean, technically, I mean, I guess technically only, but I guess you have to like kind of like work for your power in some sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, all right, off of Pyramid Head a little bit. State of the game. Um,
Overall state
how
of the game
how do you personally feel the game is as a whole right now,
as a whole, like just in general.
just in general?
Um,
You think it's in a good
so like
spot, a bad spot? You think it's going downhill?
DVD, it's in a very weird spot, right? I feel like this game is very stale
Uh
right
huh.
now. I feel like every single game is the same thing unless you're yeah, I just honestly like feel like every game is the same thing, to be honest with you. I really don't enjoy this game as much as I used to.
Hmm.
When this game first came, I would never get off DBD. I would never get off DBD. I was playing this game like 25 hours a day.
Hmm.
I was playing this game nonstop, man. I was playing it nonstop. Now I feel like I can't even play DBD for more than like 4 hours unless I'm streaming it. Because like the only time like I actually have like the most fun streaming, most fun playing this game is when I'm streaming it,
Stream it. Yeah,
right?
same. If I'm honest, yeah.
Like the only time like I'll play DBD like off stream is if like I have a killer daily. Maybe if I'm like filming a YouTube video, experimenting with a build, but I'll never just get on DBD just to like, play for hours and hours on it off stream.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think
Or
it's
maybe like if I am playing like the occasional survivor, right?
yeah.
But go ahead.
I was gonna say I think there's a lot of factors in that. One, as much as people complain about 6.1, that was the meta shakeup patch they did a couple years ago.
Hmm.
We don't. I feel like if we got more of those, it would help. Not completely, but like I think it would help a little bit. On top of like, what? I mean, you have how many hours in this game do you have?
I have, I think I have like 5,100 across Xbox and Steam.
So
Pretty sure.
I'm assuming you have basically everything unlocked.
Yeah.
So like, other than streaming and trying to like entertain, what do you really have to go for?
Well, I mean, not much else, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I mean by it feels so stale. Like, I feel like I've done everything. Like, I have so many hours in this game. Like, I know like what to do, what not to do. I just like there's not much else to learn for me. I
Mm,
feel like as well too. And also another thing is too, right? Is that um I don't know if this is off topic or not, but I feel like when they kind of took out like the whole like skill factor out of the game, quote unquote, by removing like flashlight burns for Wraith or like removing burns for Nurse, etc., like flashlight burning abilities.
mm,
That was something new that newer players didn't know how to do. And it kind of had like an interactive feature. Like things that you can like learn how to do um in this game were really, 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 really fun. And just be able to like flash burn, like I mentioned, right, was something that not everybody knew how to do. And just like little interactions and little features like that, I think made the game so much better, in my personal opinion. Like, sure, if you're a Wraith fan, you're not gonna like it, right?
I,
But
I
like,
I think the Wraith one was the only exception I had to that. The other ones, yeah, those could have stayed. I didn't care about those really. The Wraith one was the only one I was like, no, I kind of get why they got rid of it. Because let's say you're a new player, or even, someone who's played for a while, and you happen to go up against a team of 4 flashlights. Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't get to
you're
have
gonna get
fun.
bullied.
Yeah. um, but the others, like Nurse, I still know people who didn't even know you could do that, and they played for like 4,000 hours. Um, the
Yeah,
artist
that's the
one,
thing.
like those
Like,
were fine.
I mean, like I said, that's the thing. Like, you get to learn that. You get like even like when you do play Wraith, like you get to learn how to play around that. Because, like I said at the beginning of this, I guess like I was a Wraith main, right?
Hmm.
I kind of had to learn how to play around that, and I got better and better at playing around flashlight teams. I was like always like hyper aware. I was like, okay, they're gonna go for a flashlight here. They're not gonna try and flashlight burn me. Typically, what I did was I just like move around a whole lot to like try and avoid the flashlight burns. But if they're all beaming you at once, it's very hard to avoid. I will admit
Yes.
it is very hard to avoid. But like I said, like the one with Nurse, right? Like the one with Nurse, like flashlight burning a Nurse while she's trying to chase you is freaking hard, man.
It is.
Like, it is really freaking hard to do, and I've only done it once before, and pulling it off is such a rewarding feeling, man. It is such a rewarding feeling.
Part of me thinks they got rid of that because they were working on Alan Wake, and new Champion of Light would make it worse.
Oh
That
yeah.
sounds dumb, but like part of me, because I was thinking about this
I
too.
know, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, yeah.
like I was thinking about this too with like Made for This. It's like the nerf took 6 months, but if Made for This was in the game as it was when Chucky released, he would be the most miserable killer in the game to play.
Most likely, yes. Yeah, most
A
likely, because like,
110
what is a
not
110
non-ranged.
supposed to do?
Yeah. like
Yeah,
yeah, part of me
go ahead.
I'm just saying part of me thinks like they're preemptively nerfing things when things come out and then or before things come out, like Champion of Light, like Chucky. Like with the FOV thing, it's like that happened the patch after Chucky, I believe, or was it? No, it was when the Unknown came out. So like part of me thinks like they were working on quote the tech, even though it's not really whatever, you know what I mean. Um, they didn't want to implement it until after he came out for some reason. Um, because like I feel like they do that with a lot of things, like because like Flashbang wasn't good until Background Player really like. There's just and then as far as like skill expression goes, to back to that point, like I think there's a line, and I think behavior is going too far to getting rid of everything. Like, do I think some of the skill expression stuff that was like kind of annoying or like are depending on who you ask, like overpowered? I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying some people would say it is. Um, like, do I think they should have gotten rid of some of it? Yeah, but not all of it. Like, did you really have to, like Oni can still 180? Like, if they get rid
Yeah.
of Oni's 180s, like no one's gonna want to play him. Not even a matter of if he's good or not. It's a matter of if he's fun.
I mean, like, it takes, like, so much, like, skill to, like, get consistent with those, you're right. Like, you have to think, like, about the people that, like, that main Oni and have, like, dedicated thousands of hours to playing him to learn 180s and get consistent with them, right?
Hmm.
Like, that and then them just nerfing 180s is, like, I'm gonna suck, man. Well, that's gonna suck. Like, if you're an Oni main, like, that's gonna fucking, like, be a kick in the balls, man. That's
Yeah.
gonna be a kick in the balls. Like, that's gonna really suck. And, like, if they ever removed, like, flicks with Pyramid Head, that would just give me another incentive just to not play him because, like I said, he's already, like, bugged enough. Like, if they just give me more incentives to not play Pyramid Head, it just I just can't see myself continuing to be a Pyramid main if they just keep on removing, like, the skill factor out of this game. Not for Pyramid Head, but like I said, if they ever did,
Hmm.
right, I
Well,
probably wouldn't be playing as much. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I'd probably be dedicating myself to playing other killers.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It's not even just like a learning thing necessarily. It's also like a showing thing, right? Like like with Pyramid Head, it's like you can show clips of you flicking. You can like show people, look at how far I've come, and that kind of comes off the learning thing. But it's like, if they got rid of the flicks, what can you really show you can do with Pyramid Head that you couldn't show on any other killer? Because don't get me wrong, I'm always an advocate for, I don't think macro game is appreciated enough in this game on either side. But at the end of the day, you can't really express your macro game very well in like an intuitive way. But like a Pyramid Head flick, like I can watch someone do that and be like, that was really good and impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's not like a whole lot of other like really skillful things you can really do with Pyramid Head besides like yeah, flicking. Like yeah, sure you can go for prediction shots with him.
Mm,
Yeah, sure. It takes a lot of time to go for those well timed out in the open shots, and I guess like double hits, triple hits, stuff like that, right? They do take us skill to like some degree, right?
mm,
And there are a couple of like hidden pyramid head techs that you can technically do.
mm.
Um, there's not that very many, but there is this one where you can like go for a shot in the tube on I think it's the game.
I did
Yeah,
it. I
on the
did it
game.
actually before we started this. I was playing Pyramid Head to
Oh, did you?
pass the time. I actually got that shot.
Oh, nice. Right on, dude. Hell yeah.
uh, uh,
Yeah, no, dude. I going for that shot, especially for the first time, it is such a satisfying feeling. Because I remember when I did that for my very first time, I had a survivor come into to my chat and it was like, "You cheating son of a blah 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 blah. You can't do that with Pyramid Head." And I'm like, "Oh yes, you can. Oh yes, you can."
well, I mean, like, and I brought up the discussion of like what is skill sometimes, because at this point, I kind of question myself on what it actually is. Mechanical skill versus what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily macro or game knowledge, but like a flick. Like that's obviously mechanical skill, right? But
Mhm.
then you got to ask, well, were you good at the flick, or did they just not dodge it? Not trying to diminish it or anything. I'm just saying like,
It's kind of like a 50-50 too in some sense against, like, good players. Against, like, bad players, like, intermediate players,
mm-hmm,
um, flicks are very, very consistent most of the time for me
mm-hmm,
because, like, most survivors don't expect me to be going for flicks 'cause how often do you see a pyramid head even go for a flick for that matter of fact? More or less, there's not a lot of, like, really good pyramid heads that can actually, flick in general, right?
mm-hmm,
So I'd say against, like, really good players that, like, know how to dodge your M2 and know how to dodge your flicks are gonna be a little bit trickier to play against. Because sometimes you have to flick outwards, sometimes you have to flick inwards, sometimes you have to flick your power differently, kinda going for a prediction shot in some sense.
mm-hmm.
Like, where is the survivor gonna aim go dodge this way? Is he not gonna dodge? Like, there's a ton of mind games that go into it, especially as a good player.
Yeah, but
There's a ton of mind games
you said it was a 50-50, and then once again, like that's where I
in some
always,
sense.
yeah, that's where I always like because people debate about balance in this game all the time with like, I've said this before with like Huntress. It's like when we're balancing Huntress or like talking about balance for Huntress, do we assume she never misses?
I mean, it is possible to miss,
It
right?
is, it is, but my question is like, do we assume she's going to miss, or do we assume she never misses?
Mm,
Same
I
with
mean,
same with like Pyramid Head. Do we assume he's gonna miss every hit?
I mean, like with Huntress though, like it's a lot easier to get hits off, especially from closer range because they're,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's more of a reactive. You can't react to Huntress hatches as fast as you can with Pyramid Head's M2, right?
Right,
Yeah, you can't react as fast. It's a little bit more instantaneous. If you're up from close range with the Huntress, it's just boom, dead. With
right.
Pyramid Head, if you're trying to use your M2 from up close, like if you're right next to him, it doesn't make a lot of sense to.
No.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense to because like if you miss, then what was the point, right? Like you could just M1'd. Or with Huntress, it doesn't matter. Like if you M2 that survivor, right? you could just catch up immediately,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying like whenever we're like looking, because like people will talk about like Huntress is too strong, and it's like people will like talk about balance changes, but it's like it's kind of similar to like hillbilly, like hillbilly's in a similar case too. It's like, do we assume the hillbilly is so good that they never miss when we're talking about balancing them or like changing them in some way?
Mm.
And I wonder if this is like what goes through the heads of behavior, if they actually had the statistics on how often people miss.
Well, I mean, another thing is too, right? Is like I think if behavior like looked at like some of like the killers that like have actually like dedicated their craft into like actually like mastering like a specific killer, right? Like
Hmm.
let's say if behavior like knew who I was, for example, and they saw that I was a really, really good Pyramid Head main,
Hmm.
right? They would have to take it into the fact that I would be able to abuse more things than your average Pyramid Head main would if they were to, buff me, for example,
Right,
right?
right.
Um, but I don't think I don't think behavior, like, kinda, like, looks at that kinda thing. I think they just look on it on statistics.
Yeah,
They look on, like, the average statistic for, like, your average player, because you're obviously the player that's a lot better is going to do well, a lot better, um, for a specific buff or, change, etcetera. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, I mean,
They're gonna adapt.
even then though, it's like the Huntress change they did recently, after the movement speed change. Who is that? Like, because her pick rate was decently high, her kill rate was decent. So was it legitimately just for like the lower tier players who were like not getting as many kills?
I really don't know how to answer it because, like, Huntress in the right hands and even like an average player is like can still do pretty decently well with her.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for someone that's just really good with her is just gonna make any survivor's life a miserable time, to say the
Also,
least.
yeah. Also, on the
You know
topic
what I mean?
of like behavior, like watching like mains or people who've like dedicated to like one killer. Um, I forget which dev said this, but it was an Overwatch dev. They said that game developers hate people who main characters more than anything else.
Really?
Well, because it makes it difficult for them to actually balance a character because that person has become so good at that character that they had to take that into account anytime they think about it. And it makes selling cosmetics and such more difficult because if you only play one character, especially in this game, a licensed character, they can't sell anything to you.
Me kind of hoping behavior doesn't know who I am at this point, Me just kind of like lurking in the shadows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, part of me kind of like does hope that they don't. Like, like I'm curious if like behavior looks at like the leaderboards and such for like the top number one like Nemesis player or players or Xeno players and whatnot, but I
No,
kind of
because
doubt
that's
it.
just a third party. That's just
Yeah,
a third party thing. Like, I'm pretty sure if behavior cared about it enough, they would just add like their own leaderboard system into the game, which I don't think they'll ever do. Like, this is just like a very, very casual mindseted game. It's an asymmetrical game. I don't ever think there'll be a leaderboard system in this game,
yeah.
to be quite honest.
I do want to say that their reasoning for not adding stats is really really dumb. They basically said that because they'd have to start at zero for everybody, so they don't want to do it. But why would that? No one would care. Everyone would like it. Like,
Yeah,
so I
I
don't
was, I was
care.
gonna say like I would like it too.
Like I,
You know what I
I
mean?
play on Windows Store. I can't even see my stats anyway. So,
You play
um,
on wait, you play on Windows Store actually?
yeah, I play on Windows Store PC.
Dude, you're like the first ever Windows Store gamer I've ever heard of.
I
Oh
am
my.
I am one of the few. I almost never don't see a globe in my lobby. I play. It's free on the Game Pass on PC.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I'm so committed now. I can't just swap to Steam. So
Yeah, dude, that must suck. Like, even if you play like on Epic Games, you'd be able to cross progress, right, from Epic Games to Steam, but on Windows Store, you can't even
No,
cross progress, man. Like, just sucks. I
it's
like,
well, it's also it's kind of a blessing to a degree. I don't get like negative rep. I don't get that many in-game chats because people think I can't type. Um, and I don't. People can't check my profile.
oh yeah,
So it has advantages. It's just a lot of people forget Windows Store is even an option.
more disadvantages for me, if anything. No,
Um, well, it's also
for
funny
me.
because I also get the game is everything in the game is 10% off for me at all times.
Okay.
So I like a new chapter releases. It's actually like it doesn't make a difference, but it's 50%. It's 50%. 50 cents cheaper for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not too
cosmetics.
bad then.
Yeah, cosmetics. All of them are $1 less. It adds up. It's at this point, if they add cross progression, I really don't even think I'd move over to Steam. There's really no reason for me to do it.
Honestly, you do you though, man. Like you do you, because like I've just always been like a Steam player, because like, or I haven't always been a Steam player. I used to have 1,800 hours on Xbox, but the reason why I wanted to move to Steam is because like the whole mouse and keyboard feature, you can't do that on console. Also, like I wanted to be able to see my stats on the leaderboards. I want to be able to like play with people on Steam as well too. Um, more more consistently, I guess you could say. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, yeah, no, I like the idea of playing on mouse keyboard and playing on Steam a whole lot more than Xbox. So that's the whole like
Well,
reason why I kind of switched to.
yeah. And I
Oh,
mean,
and leaderboards
yeah.
and leaderboards.
I mean, other than the leaderboards, I really like don't have that much of a disadvantage, or like a like it's not that much different than Steam because, like I said, it's still
Hmm.
mouse and keyboard. It's just on a different platform. Game has crossplay, so I can play with anyone I want. Like, there's really the only thing is just the stats. That's really the only thing I don't get. And even then, Chucky's stat track stat is really stupid, so I don't really care that much. Um,
Yeah, no. Pyramid Heads is also kind of like whatever, right? Like Pyramid Heads is literally just cages of atonements.
is it? Is it?
Like,
Are you serious?
yeah, it's just cages of atonements. Like,
Uh,
even then, still, like, I'm still on the top of the leaderboard for that.
yeah, we'll get into it. Do you know what Twins track stat is?
I think it's pounced downs with Victor.
No, it's hits while Victor is on someone.
It's while Victor is on someone. That is a stupid stat.
Yes. Chucky's is it's hits 3 seconds after scamper.
Oh my, yeah, no. Behavior was, well. I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, to be completely fair, like it's all just tracked for like Steam achievements.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
leaderboard feature was never really intended. It's just there for like gigs and shiggles, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
no.
I mean, yeah. That's the all I do is just they track it based on the achievement, and then like it just goes over what the achievement actually is. Um, I think like I just really wish they would adjust some of them. Like I really wish behavior would just embrace it at this point. Like we talked about how there's nothing to really go for. Like I mean, leaderboards are something.
Yeah, like there's something. Like I'm not gonna complain. Like
Hmm.
I ain't complaining. Like leaderboards is like they are something. You know what I'm saying? Like
Like I mean,
I'll take what I can.
like Pyramid Head, you could like track how distance of trails made and hits with your M2, downs with your
Like
M2. Like there's so much you could track. I feel.
like hits with your M2, right? Like that would be such like a skillful thing to track, right? Like
Mhm.
getting like, yeah, no, getting hits with your M2, like that'd be like a more like actual skillful thing to track. I feel
Yeah.
like. But
Um. I was
yeah,
gonna.
go ahead.
I was gonna say getting away from state of the game. I think we're pretty much exhausted from that. Pyramid Head's power level. We mentioned it a bit earlier, but most people rate Pyramid Head pretty highly. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, yeah, I would agree that Pyramid Head's a very, very strong killer. I've had people tell me like, no, he's like not even like a B tier, like he's only like a C tier killer. Well, like
See?
yeah, I've had people tell me that he's a C tier killer before, and I'm like, no offense to them, but like you're not cooking with that answer.
Uh,
You're not cooking with that answer,
they
man. I'm
think
just saying.
they think a ranged killer that can basically avoid most loops and can tunnel people.
I mean, hey, that's just their opinion, man. I'm not gonna judge.
Okay.
I ain't gonna judge. I'll silently judge. I ain't gonna say anything, but I'll silently judge
I
though.
run a commentary channel. I'll vocally judge. uh, yeah, I'd pretty much like I'd put him like he's a weird one to kind of assess properly, but like t- top of A, like I still think he's in top 10 killers in the game in my opinion.
As a top 10, he is top 10 by far,
Hmm.
in my opinion. By far, he's top 10. And in the right hands, he's a top 5. All
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Like I know for some may not agree, but like in my eyes, he's a top 5 killer.
Hmm.
It's like I don't know. I like rarely like when I'm like trying, like I'm generally like sweating, and I find myself like almost like never losing my games. Like if I'm just like playing casually, like even then, like I don't even find myself like losing too many games, to be honest. Like I don't know. I guess survivors just don't know how to play against Pyramidhead, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think most of them, especially like for someone like you who can flick very well, like and predict really well, I think there's this the 50-50 mind games. Like once you learn how to overcome that, I don't think most survivors know what to do. They like
Y-
it's a situation I feel of. I've said this before. It's like if you want to go, there's like a bell curve to like learning how to loop survivors. Looping bad survivors is you don't go for mind games because it doesn't work on bad survivors. Because they're not even playing the same game as you are, right? This is in general for all killers. And then like they start to learn how to loop and they start to learn mind games and start doing them themselves. And then once you get against like really really good survivors, um, in my opinion, they like subconsciously do the mind games. So you mind gaming doesn't work. It hurts you more sometimes. If that makes
uh,
sense.
yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like when I'm playing against like a crop top Felix, right, that doesn't know how to fucking path,
Hmm.
I lose my shit. I lose my mind, bro.
They're actually so smart because they're so stupid. It's
Yeah, bro. I'm always thinking like, oh, okay, hey, this survivor's gonna dodge my power. No, never does.
never does.
Never does it. And then like, the most frustrating thing is to like I'll even like aim off to the side to see if like mind game like 2 times in a row. And then I'll finally aim forward. And then they'll finally pay attention to where I'm gonna aim my power, and then they'll finally dodge. Like just survivors like that just like make me want to rip my hair out, man.
It's
Just make me want to rip my hair out.
it's being unpredictable. I mean, he's a killer that like depends on vetting survivors, and if they find some way to get around the whole vetting process, they there's not much you can do. I mean, you can obviously, like I said, go for flicks and try for the predictions, but if they don't even know what they're doing, how the fuck are you supposed to know what they're doing?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I
Um,
I always rely I always rely on survivors looking back, and if they're just not looking back,
mhm.
I'm just gonna lose my mind, bro. I'm losing my mind.
I mean, you play other killers, I assume. So like, how often, how many times have you like tried to mind game a survivor and they just leave the loop and you just got stuck in a mind game and didn't even realize it? Not because they were good necessarily, but just because they just didn't know what they were doing.
Bro, I could write you a book, okay? And I could write you 10 books of just a list of players that have decided to just leave the loop because they were bad. Not because they had good pathing, but just because like they just didn't know what they were doing.
Mhm.
Like just because they didn't know what they were doing, dude.
I think that's
I don't know, man. Pyramid's like such a weird killer against bad survivors, man. I don't know.
there's
He's
a.
very weird.
Do you play Rainbow Six Siege at all?
I have not in a long time.
So do you know who Frost is?
I've heard of the character,
Okay,
yes.
so she can put bear traps down. Um, and the common adage people will say is the only players these work against are really bad players and really good players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of those situations where, like I said, with the bell curve, because really bad players aren't looking for them. Really good players are, so they're distracted by them. But then there's like that middle tier of player who is simultaneously not paying attention to them, but also paying attention to them too much. So it only
Hmm.
really works on them, and I feel like Pyramid Head kind of it falls into that with a lot of the range killers as well. Killers that like rely on predictions, just yeah. I think rely is a strong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
it gets to a point to where the only thing you can do is just get them during an animation, which works, but like isn't like the most skillful thing, isn't the most like what's the word I'm looking for? Fun thing. I hate to say fun sometimes because it's very subjective, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm understanding what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of all of that, and you kind of went into one of them earlier, but tips for new pyramid heads. And when I say new, I don't mean you know ready two shoes, but the game. Oh, Silent Hill's here. I'm gonna play Pyramid Head. Someone with like a few hours under their belt, like 400 hours, and they're like, you know what? I really like the idea of this character. I'm gonna main them. Um, do you have like any solid advice other than what you gave earlier for someone like that?
I mean, like somebody that is like a newer pyramid player. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. Whether you're fresh out of the cereal box or whether you have like a few thousand hours in this game, um, it is kind of like the same concept. Like, don't run M1 perks on Pyramid Head.
Mhm.
Um, Also just like I mentioned from earlier, just use your powers like as much as you possibly can, man. I That's like my number one tip for newer players is to just always use your power, no matter what. Like you're gonna lose your games,
Mhm.
but like if you play, think about it. If you play like a 90% M2 only, or like 100% M2 only, if you're that ballsy enough to, for like 3 weeks to a month consistently, you'll be unstoppable with Pyramid Head in no time.
Yeah,
In no time. Like, it may not seem like it for, like, the first week or so, but I promise you, dude, like, you're gonna improve.
yeah.
I promise you.
it's like a train. It's like running with weights on. Sucks,
Yeah, like
but
yeah, no, like, it sucks, but, like, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
yeah.
Like, cause like, when I first started playing this killer, right? Like, it's so funny, like, all of my streamer friends that I've actually, like, met, um, was when I very first started playing Pyramid Head, when I was, like, really, really bad at him.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of my streamer friends that I met. Like, and I would always, like, get dunked on. I would always get, like, absolutely, like, ruled when I first started playing Pyramid because I was, like, one of the worst Pyramid Heads you could ever run into. I was generally, like, so bad with this killer, and then I just wanted to get good with him, and I just started playing mostly M2 only and, like, "Hey, this is where I'm at now." Uh,
Do you watch your old footage back ever?
no, I never really watch back my footage, like, ever. The
It's
only time I ever do that is to, like, record a YouTube video or, like,
mhm.
something like that.
I've
But I never do it just to, like, be like, "Okay, I could have done this differently. Okay, I could have done that differently."
Well, no,
You know what I'm saying?
I just meant more like, have you ever like watched back old footage and been like, how was I this bad?
Oh, um, you know what? I could actually do that one of these days. Like, one of these days, I could just go on stream and be like, "Yo, chat, like, this is who I was. I was all of you at one point." No, I'm just kidding,
I'm
but
sorry.
you know what I'm saying?
I was a plebeian just like you. I don't know. I've done it with like I've like rewatched old PTB footage when Chucky first came out. I'm like, how did I not understand this basic concept? It's just I don't know. The learning experience is interesting sometimes that way. Um, so some information you might not want to give out because I've had a few people say they don't like giving this out. But do you have any tips for playing against Pyramid Head? Like a good one?
Like, okay, so there's a difference between playing against a good Pyramid Head and a bad Pyramid Head.
Hmm.
But the counter, there is one counter that kind of works for both. Um, and it's basically the same concept for most killers. You literally just have to shift W key. Like against a good Pyramid Head that wants to M2, he's gonna get so much slowdown when he wants to use his power over and over again. And if he misses, and you're just W keying and pre-dropping pallets on him,
Hmm.
like as a Pyramid Head main, like what do you do? Like what do you do against somebody that wants to pre-drop and a whole W? Because against Pyramid Head, you can't just pre-drop. You have to pre-drop really, really early against Pyramid Head. You got
Right.
to do it really, really early against Pyramid Head.
Yeah, it's
Um,
similar to like Xeno.
yeah, against like Xeno, you just have to pre-drop the pallet in time so that they can't get their power off. Usually, the best time to pre-drop a pallet against a Pyramid Head is the second they're charging the power. The second that you hear them charge your power, drop that pallet, hold
Hmm.
W, run away, mind game, do whatever you can. Um, if it's like a Pyramid that wants to, like M2 fake you a whole bunch, it's kind of like the same thing. Just pre-drop, hold W, make sure they can't get their power off if they do decide to use their power for whatever reason. Um, you know, it's all just the same counter. Like that's the most annoying thing you could ever do. And also, like we mentioned earlier, like if you just generally like have like not so good pathing, like if your pathing is like really, really bad in this game, like that's also gonna something that's gonna be throwing off a good pyramid head. Like just not mind gaming. Yeah, just not mind gaming as well too. It's
Um.
just another one.
Uh. Fuck. You mentioned it with You just said it, and I was gonna make a retort, not a retort, but like a add on to it with the whole I just lost my train of thought. Um. I was just gonna say with pre-drop. That's what it was with pre-dropping. So I had this situation. I told the story before. I was playing clown on Larry's once,
Mhm.
and one of the survivors got sandbagged by their teammate. So uh to revolt against their teammates, she just went around the map and just started dropping every pallet when I wasn't anywhere nearby. I lost that match.
Yeah, dude. Like when survivors like pre-drop on you, when you're an M2 range killer that relies on like, like you're requiring to like get at least like somewhat close, right? Like yeah, when you're being pre-dropped on, like it really, really hurts you a whole lot. It kind of makes you actually regret mating Pyramid Head
Mhm.
and regret mating like any other killer too. Like if you're an M1 kid, that's like, what do you do against pre-dropping? Like Survivor pre-drops pallet, they hold W. Like there's nothing you can do as an M1 killer. As Pyramid Head, there kind of is.
Mhm.
Like if you're able to like get like a last second shot off, or if the survivor sticks to the loop and you feel well in your ability to go for prediction shot, then yeah, you kind of can. It all just like depends on the tile, the loop, the survivor. There's a ton of things that play into it.
Yeah, and I don't really want to get into trails too much because I mean, unless there's something about trails that I don't, but they're not. I don't think there's anything super intensive you could really say about it. But cages, do you is there like a flow chart to when to cage and when not to, or do you just kind of just know like you get what I'm saying? Like is there like any like how much thought process goes into like I should cage this person versus I should hook them?
Honestly, there's not like a whole ton of thought process in it for me, at least. Like anytime like I have the ability to cage somebody, I'll just cage them. I'll just
Okay.
cage them unless it's like a very, very, very big map. Um, if I know the survivors are on the other side of the map doing a gen next to or like if I'm assuming like the survivors are resetting, or if I just assume that the survivors are over where I'm about to cage this person, I won't cage him. I'll just hook him.
Okay.
Um, but if I ever get the opportunity to, I will always cage. And if it's end game, you should never cage. It's
Mm-mm.
end game, you don't ever cage because let's say the survivors are opening up an exit gate, you cage survivor from across the map, right? And then boom, they all get out because you decide to cage and not hook them and camp that person, right?
Yeah.
And I've done that mistake like so many times as like a newer pyramid player where I'll just cage them in end game, and they'll all get out because
Or
skill issue.
yeah, or fucking forbid the RNG is like, you know what, the cage is beside the gate. That's
Yeah,
that is my fucking, I hate that. It happens on Auto Haven all the time. I swear.
but also, like, if you are really experienced with Pyramid Head as well too, like, learning, I guess the cage logic, whatever you wanna call it, right,
Hmm.
does come a little bit more naturally as to knowing, like, where and when survivors will spawn off the cage.
Could you,
It does come a little bit more naturally.
yeah, could you, because I'm like, once again, I'm not like, I don't like play Pyramid Head that much, so I couldn't write a dissertation on it. But it's basically like the farthest point from you in a corner, isn't it? That's what it tries to do.
Yes. Okay, so here's how it works, right? Um, let's say let's pretend like we're in 4 corners right now. If I, cage you from corner 4, you're gonna spawn in corner 1.
Okay.
But not every single map is like that. Every map is kinda laid out a little bit differently in an odd shape.
Hmm.
So you have to make it there's some times where you have to make a really, really good educated guess on where that survivor is going to spawn, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to make, like, a really, really, really well educated guess, dude.
Fair enough.
Really, really well educated guess.
Fair enough. And all right, moving on to something a little bit more, or less of a serious talk. But I put in the question thoughts on their lore. That was kind of a holdover from other killers. More so, are you a Silent Hill fan at all?
You know, I get asked this a lot, and I'm gonna be honest, I've never played Silent Hill before.
I was.
I know nothing about the lore. I know nothing about, like, the backstory
Mhm.
behind Pyramid Head, James, Cheryl, Sybil, all those characters. I don't know nothing.
So
I don't know nothing about nothing.
if I asked you how well do you think he was adapted into the game, you wouldn't really have an opinion.
I honestly I couldn't tell you that much, dude, because like, I never, like, really, like, read the lore. I've never played the Silent Hill games like I mentioned, right? Like,
I would.
I'm gonna play Silent Hill 2 Remastered, though. Whenever that game comes out,
Mhm.
I'm gonna play it.
And
Like,
hope.
the whole reason why I just made Pyramid is because, like I said from earlier, I really like the killer, and I wanted to main somebody that I saw nobody else main, so that's why I picked him. You know what I'm saying?
Part of me kind of respects you more for that, if I'm honest. It
Really.
like that's not me dismissing you or anybody. I'm just saying it's like the fact that you enjoy this killer so much and you're not a fan of Silent Hill is kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, no
There's something admirable about it.
yeah, no, I know what you mean, and, like, I really like Pyramid man.
Yeah,
What can I say?
yeah,
Just that Phead is a well-designed killer, like, you just delete people from the game. What's there not to like about that?
yeah. Because it's like I'm sure you know Bran, Mr. Headache.
Oh, yeah.
Um, you know he loves the Alien movies, and Alien was like his dream chapter. And then like for me, like Chucky was my dream chapter. I don't care if Chucky was a stealth killer, a macro killer, a dash killer. I don't care what he was. I still would have loved him and probably mained him regardless. Um, and then there's a bunch of Nemesis mains who just love Resident Evil, and yeah, it's just a lot of people main licensed characters because they love the franchise, but it's I very seldom hear people say it just because they like the character. It's just different.
Yeah, dude, I'm just built different, man. What can I say?
Um,
What can I say?
as far as like what I would say about the adaptation, it's fine. Like it's nothing like demonstrable. Like it's still Pyramid Head at the end of the day. Like they got the looks right, the sound right. Dear God, the sound. I'm sure I'd talk an hour about the sound design of Pyramid Head and how good it is in my opinion. The M2 hit sound is so fucking satisfying.
Oh, yeah, that sound never gets old.
Um,
It never gets old, like, even, like, after 3,000 hours of, like, mean this killer, it always satisfies me like it did the first time. Every
yeah.
time, dude.
And I know this is a small thing they did, but the fact that you still hear multiple pings when you hit multiple people, they didn't have to do that. They could have made it just do like the one. But the fact that they made it hit the two or like two or three, it's just like where it goes pop pop, like it's just
Yeah.
yeah. It's so good. The trail sounds are really good. Speaking of the sounds, we didn't really go over this a little bit, but is Pyramid Head loud when he's undetectable? Do you know?
No,
Isn't
he's not loud. He's only loud when you place down his power. Um, like, for example, like, I used to run Tinker
mm-hmm,
on Pyramidhead all the time, right?
mm-hmm,
And, what the strategy was, right? Because like, survivors could hear me place down my power when I try to go for prediction shot on them when they're on the gen, right?
right.
Um, so I would always place my power down from, like, a long range and then go for my shot, and most of the time, I'd hit them. However, like, when Pyramidhead is undetectable, you can hear his breathing,
Mm-hmm.
like, his breathing, like, under his cone, like, his "ho" sound, like, his
It's
mumbling, I guess you could say.
phone.
Yeah, yeah, you can hear his cone essentially. But, yeah, other than that, like, if Pyramid is undetectable, the second you hear them place down their power, I'd say just, like, kinda, like, run away or, like, do whatever you can to, like, avoid it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, what the really, really good Pyramid players will do, or experienced players, they'll place their power from a longer range, and then they'll set off their shot when they're undetectable
Yeah, he is.
most of the time.
Now that you mention it, he is deceptively quiet. The more I think about it, other than placing the power down, and I can see kind of why they did it that way. But um, yeah, it's very strange. I never really thought about it that way. Uh,
Yeah.
then again, he is
Mm.
also. I don't know if this has changed. I think he is still the tallest killer in the game.
Yes, in terms of his model, he is the tallest killer. If it wasn't for his giant ass cone on his head, then Nemesis would have been the tallest, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's a balance. I've talked about this before. That the height thing is a balancing thing. It's not just an adaptation. Um, since he can hit you
Yeah.
through walls, that was their way of kind of making it so like at certain places you can still see him. Uh,
Yeah, it's very, very hard to like mind game with Pyramid Head Man.
yeah.
It's very, very hard to mind game with him. Like most of it is just kind of like yeah, like whenever it gets like a wall that you can't see around, but they can see around, it makes it so much more harder.
Uh,
It makes it so much more harder to aim around and play around for sure.
yeah. It's because I've talked about. I think I talked about it in the night interview one where you'll notice that most if not all the tall killers in the game, like the ones that are listed as tall, they're all ranged killers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
most of them are, if
I think
I'm not mistaken.
the only exception is Clown, but I think it's because he slows you down, so that was their way of compensating for that. Um, I never really thought about Freddy's average. Maybe that's not. I don't know. Uh,
Freddy's like pretty short, if I'm not mistaken.
he's
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 not that tall.
he's coded and listed as average. His model is short.
Okay.
That's why he gets those. I've talked about this multiple times too. It's why he gets those like weird ass long range hits. He probably shouldn't
Oh, I see.
because his hitbox doesn't match his model.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, one I didn't something I didn't list in here. Because it was supposed to take over the other games part, but I'll probably ask you that since you're kind of mentioned a little bit. But Pyramid skins. He doesn't have. He has what like three or four. The blighted, the barbed wire, the base, and then the orange one.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, yeah, it's the corrupt one, which is that the barbed wire, the forgeborn, which is the not Chuchi skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then the blooded skin, which everybody knows about. Bloody pyramid head skin, bloody cosmetic, and then just his default.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Obviously, the curse of being a licensed character. Do you rest in peace, Freddy? Do you have a preferred skin or one like you usually run, or is it just kind of swapping around?
So for me personally, I always run what's called the boo boo butt skin. That's what me and the other pyramid head mains call it. We call it the boo boo butt skin. It's the barbed wire one, the gray blackish one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the reason why I run it is because it's the darkest skin.
Oh,
And
okay.
also I like the I don't know, I've always just, like, been more fond with it. Yeah, no, it's just the darkest skin, like, you look darker on other maps. Also, I like the FOV of the handle. It doesn't take up much of the screen as, like, the blighted skin does, for example.
Hmm.
Like, if you're playing with the blighted skin, for example, like, if you're playing with the handle, um, it takes up so much of the screen. It takes up so much of the screen, and it's so annoying, and I'm an FOV hog, so
Yeah, fair enough.
it doesn't really work for me that much.
Yeah. I wonder if they could, because like Team Fortress 2 has this where you can like just get rid of the weapon model. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, well, you can get rid of the weapon model. You can even just make it see through. It like just makes it an outline.
See, now, if Behavior did something like that,
That,
then
that
honestly
to be fair, Team Fortress 2 is a whole other beast from other multiplayer games. If we're honest, um,
yeah, no, that is true. That is
so
true.
yeah, I wouldn't use them as the industry standard, but it still it would be interesting if we could like. Could you imagine if Dredge players could get rid of the fucking weapon? Like,
That would be something, man.
or if you could play Chucky and just remove him from the screen.
Chucky and then just remove the screen. I think they would have to take it out with Chucky or, like, at least, like, make it like a perk or, like, something, you know what I'm saying?
He would be the exception. I mean, he's already the exception to the FOV thing, so like I'd be fine with it personally. But um,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there any? Did you absolutely hate any of his skins, or are you just kind of indifferent?
I mean, like I said, the blighted one, because like, it does take up as much FOV.
Mm,
Um, but honestly, like, that's really it. Like, sometimes, like, I'll run, like, the bloody Pyramidhead skin. Um, 'Cause I know, like, a lot of the Pyramidhead mains that I know on West Coast run that skin. Um, but yeah, no, I've never, like, really, like, seen, like, any other, like, really good Pyramidhead that's, like, run the skin that I run. Because like I said, it's the Booba skin. Any Pyramidhead that's not me that runs the skin is bad. That's kind of like the meme that we have that goes around, with us Pyramidhead mains, like I
gotcha.
mentioned.
Yeah. Um. Uh. Maps. We touched on them a little bit earlier. Uh. Before we get into hated and liked, we kind of said that Pyramid Head isn't real. At least I did. That he isn't really map dependent too much. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
I'd say, like, Pyramidhead, it's kinda, somewhat. Um, like, for me, like, my favorite maps to play on are, Gideon's, his home field, Midwich, and, what's the other map? I guess Autohaven yeah, we have Wrecker's Yard. I really
Hmm.
like to play on as well too. Wrecker's Yard is one of my favorite maps.
Right.
Um, another thing being as well too is that, like, some of his, like, bad maps, like, you think they were, like, actually good maps from, but they're not. Like, for example, like, Larry's, for example, right? Like, Larry's is actually, like, one of Pyramid Head's worst maps, and the reason why that map is just so damn bad and awful for him is because of the fact, like, anytime you use your power or you, like, use your M2 on, pieces of environment, your power will actually get stuck. Your power will actually get stuck, and it won't register fully. There has
Hmm.
been times where I have played on Larry's and I'm just trying to go for prediction shots on the map, and I was never able to because my power would just completely cancel out, and it was just the most infuriating and the most annoying thing in this game.
Do you know why it does that?
I'm gonna be honest, I've tried everything. I've tried to figure it out. I don't know. I'm assuming that's because, like, it thinks that the game is like it thinks that I'm on a different elevation,
Hmm.
but that's like my only guess. Or maybe it thinks like it's a part of the, like, the edge map or
Well,
something like that. It's some mechanically designed bug that I can't figure out. I don't know.
it could be that because I mean I think Larry's is coded weird where I think it's coded weird because of how the hooks are placed on it or something if I remember right. Because like the hooks are technically like I think like half a meter off the ground or something. Um,
Hmm.
because of how the floor is designed on that map. I don't know. I don't know. Larry's is a weird one for a lot of killers. Um. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Someone did bring this up. We didn't really mention this. Elevation with Pyramid Head. Because I don't really know how it works either too much. Power can't go down, right? It can go up. Am I wrong with that?
No, opposite.
Opposite. It can go up, but it can't go down. Or
No. It can't. It can go down, but it can't go up. I
okay,
can't remember what you said.
okay.
Yeah. It can go down, but it can't go up. Essentially, like it can kind of like somewhat go up,
Mm-hmm.
but only by a little bit.
I
Only
got
by
you.
like a fraction amount. Like let's take Haddonfield for example, because that's the map I like to use my power on the most. With this bug or this feature, I guess you'd say whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
Um, there's this thing where if survivors go through the deck at main building, right?
Mm.
If you're on like if you're an outside of main building, but you're an inside of main building, I can still hit you, even though it's a different elevation. Like it's technically like a full meter up.
Huh.
I can still hit you for that. Like, even, like, when you're shooting, like, down the windows, like, if Survivor vaults the windows from main building or, like, the side buildings as well too, like, you could still get your power off. You could still get your power off, which is just absolutely hilarious because like, most survivors don't know about it. One of my best friends that I've actually played against, for the very first time, I played against him while I was doing that to him, and he thought I was a cheater. It was the funniest thing ever.
Pyramid seems to make everyone think you're a cheater. It seems. Um.
Like, "You have wall hacks, you can't do that."
Um. Other than Larry's, is there really any other map you would say is like other than like the obvious ones that are like specifically bad for Pyramid Head?
Um No, like, obviously, like, I hate Guard of Joy, obviously, like, I hate, yeah, Guard of Joy, I hate Eerie, I really don't like Badham, like, obvious maps like that, right?
I swear I'm in
But
the.
other than that, that's, like, pretty much it.
I swear I'm in the minority. I actually like Yuri.
You actually like Eerie, dude? Oh, dude, anytime it gets sent to that map, it's just W key central.
I need to talk to
It's just,
other. I need to talk to other Chucky mains, but I'm convinced it is Chucky's best map.
what? No way.
Um,
His best map.
because the way the pallets spawn, you can like slice and dice all the way across the map. A
I
lot.
mean, like you're thinking about it from a Chucky main perspective. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it from
Well,
a Pyramidhead main
no.
perspective. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I'm just saying like I need to talk to other Chucky mains, but I am convinced that Eerie of Crows is Chucky's best map. That's not the only reason why, but um, yeah, it's just I just think it's funny because I don't hate Eerie just for that one reason. Um, yeah, I think Larry's elevation probably. I mean, because of how you just described how it works, like that would be the only reason I could think it just fucks up on that map.
Yeah, no, I would just like I mentioned, like I would have to assume like it's a different elevation or it's just something, man. Because like
It
it
can't.
doesn't happen all the time, but it only happens sometimes. Like it's not even just like randomly. Like it's just on like some objects, like on some specific objects. If you try and use your power around them, you just
Mhm.
can't do it. You
Maybe
just you can't do it.
maybe it just like registers the object too close, but even then, like it goes through it. So like I don't know. I'm not a coder. I don't work in behavior. My uncle does. But yeah, it's and you talked about Pyramid Head's track stats earlier. Did you say you're number one for cages for him?
I'm number 1 for cages in all of North America, not in the world.
Okay.
The number 1 in the world has played Pyramidhead every day, all day since Pyramidhead has came out. That man loves playing Pyramidhead. He plays Pyramidhead with no add-ons, actually. Like, the number 1 Pyramidhead, he has a P1 Pyramidhead, but he's never played with a single add-on in his life. I don't know, it's weird.
What you're saying
Just
is I got the wrong person. I'm kidding. Uh, how many does he have?
He's closing in on 30,000 cages now in
That is
Pyramidhead.
that's actually I'm not gonna lie, it's actually lower than I thought it would be. I was thinking like half a mil.
Yeah, no.
How many do you have?
I am but I could actually check right now because I'm not too sure.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Wait, hold on. DVD stats. I could just pull it up. DVD stats. Because yeah, no, I know I used to be at like the office. I used to be at the very bottom because like I switched from Xbox to Steam, right? So like if there was like some sort of cross progression where I was able to transfer those stats over, I'd probably be a little bit higher than the leaderboards. I'd probably be a little bit higher, not by much, but a little bit higher. Because right now I'm number 7 in the world. I'm almost number 6 in the world right now. I have 8,441 cages of atonements on Steam.
Mhm.
Um, if they're transferred over, I'd probably have like 10,000 cages by now.
And
Um,
that's considering you swapped, and because you didn't start playing Pyramidhead on like maining him on release.
no.
So that is really impressive.
Yeah, if I mained Pyramidhead upon release and I was playing on Steam, I'd be top 3. I'd be top 3 at least top 3
That
in the world.
it's so I had a Horser on here for the Nemesis main one. He told me he didn't start playing Nemesis until like a year and a half after Nemi came out, and he is I think number one or number two. Uh,
I think Horse was actually number 4, if I'm not mistaken.
or I don't remember, but regardless, my point is, even with all that time passing, he still managed to get up there. My point is to everyone who like wants to
Yeah.
grind the leaderboard, even if you start late, it's possible. It really is.
Yeah,
Um.
no, like a lot of people get discouraged because like I've had people that like wanted to like grind on leaderboard. Like even like another my friend that's on the Pyramidhead leaderboard, like Ari, right? Like he's 2 positions down behind me, right?
Mhm.
He played Pyramid Head 2.5 years after he got released. Or we started meeting him like maybe like 2.5 years after he got released. And hey, he's like number 9 in the world, I'm pretty sure, for cages of atonements. So it is possible. It is definitely possible.
Mhm. I think it's one of those things where I think people like they see the big number and they're like, oh, this guy spent years getting here. There's no way I can get back. And people take breaks. You can always come back to it. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely possible. I mean, like I don't even know who's number one on Chucky, and I really don't want to know. um, but I'm pretty sure I could if I switched over to Steam, I could probably beat them at some point. Um, is there any other like general game stats that you have that you're kind of proud of?
Um, any game sets? I've tried going for the world record 4K on Pyramid Head a couple of times, and I've actually done it, but I've done it like off stream, sadly, when I wasn't recording.
Mm,
And oh, dude, it made me so sad because like right now I'm not only number 3, the fastest 4K with Pyramid Head. Um, but I have had games. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. I have had games where I have beaten it, and I was able to get up there, but I just wasn't recording, so I couldn't post the proof, sadly.
it's always when you're not
Um,
recording. It's always when you're not recording.
yeah, no, it's always when I'm not recording, man.
My
It
my
happens.
my sickest Deathslinger play I've ever gotten, and probably one of the hypest things I've ever done in this game. Um, it was one person running. They were using Urban Evasion and distortion. This was old RPD, so like it wasn't like good distortion. Um, Playing Deathslinger, and the hatch spawned on the second floor in the bathroom where the hole is, and
Yeah.
I waited there the entire time before shutting it because this guy literally just hit the whole match. He didn't do a gen, he didn't help his teammates or anything, so I wanted to get him out. Um, I waited by that hatch for I think 30 minutes for this guy to show up. He finally showed up, and I didn't close the hatch on him. I I, I speared him, reeled him down the hole with me,
Oh, yeah?
and got him that way. It was the hypest. His teammates were so happy for me. I didn't
Oh,
record it,
boy.
so now it's just a legend, and no one believes me. Um,
I mean, hey, man, anything is possible in this game, man. Like,
um,
legit anything is possible.
it's yeah, it's even with like the speed runs. I was number two fastest Wesker 4K for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah. That quickly got dethroned. Because it was like right after release. But yeah, like I don't even really think of, like I don't think people really even think about like the whole speed running thing in this game that much, which is
Yeah,
sad.
but it is a thing that you can do, but
Mhm.
it's a very, like, small majority of people that, like, actually care. Because like,
Yeah.
if I put in my bio, right, that, like, "Hey, I'm the number 1 world record 4K Pyramidhead, number 1 in all of North America," that's gonna be a cool stat to have. Like, just those 2 things alone,
Mhm.
like, people are gonna be, like, they're gonna take me seriously. They'd be like, "Okay, hey, this guy is, like, really, really good at Pyramidhead," you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, Karn puts. At least she used to. She used to put. She had the number one fastest 4K on artist in her titles all the time. She was very proud of that. Spent months
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to get that. Um,
Like, if I wanted to, like, I could spend, like, hours and hours and hours grinding to get that world record 4K. Like, I could just send myself off to Midwich in the game, which is the easiest maps to get it on, in
yeah.
my personal opinion.
I used
Um,
I used to jokingly put I was the best Dead by Daylight player on Windows Store in my titles.
oh, yeah?
Who's gonna prove me wrong?
You know what? That's actually fair enough, man. That is completely fair.
Find me another Windows Store player, and I'll 1v1 him, and then we can see. Good luck, though.
Dude dude, you're, like, the only Windows Store player that I know of, though. That's what I'm saying.
It's I have streamed this game for 2.5 years. I have met two
Only 2.
two in game. I don't know about out of game, but in game I have met two. And every time it happens, we all freak out at each other. Cause like I said, I always see globes because technically I'm always crossplay. Um, because even though I'm on Windows Store, even if I play against or with Xbox players, it still does the thing. Where it still does the thing where like it counts as crossplay. So I still see the globe. So it only if they're also playing on PC Windows Store do I not see it, and it's just the most hype thing in the world to me. It's like fighting a unicorn. It's great. Uh,
Oh, that's too funny. That is too funny.
to end it on a bit of a lighter note, I usually say this for the end, but do you play anything else outside of DBD? Like,
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Typically I'll play like FPS games. I'll typically play like small indie games like Lethal Company, like Content Warning I'm now getting into
mhm,
because I actually got um at the time me and my friends we actually had the second highest quota in vanilla with no mods. And it took us I think it took us 12 hours. We got 10,201 quota. It was the second highest that anybody has ever done at the time.
is it
Now it's like the 6th highest, 7th highest now, I'm pretty sure.
is that lethal or is that the other one?
Lethal Company.
Okay, okay. I was making sure. I haven't played Content Warning, so I actually don't even know what the game's about. If I'm honest, um, it's not my thing. Lethal wasn't my thing either.
And yeah, no, like I used to like be like very, very big on FPS games, like or just any kind of like shooter games.
You
Um at the time I used to be like one of the funny enough, I actually used to be a comp Splatoon player back in the
so
day.
was I.
Wait, you were actually a comp Splatoon player back in the day?
Yes,
Wait, you're
Splatoon 2. Uh,
Oh, dude, I played Comp Splatoon 1 though. That's the thing. I played
uh,
like the original Comp Splatoon.
oh my
I never got into
god.
Comp Splatoon 2, dude. That's too funny.
I haven't touched Splatoon in forever. Like I think I played Splatoon 3 for like 2 weeks after release, and I didn't have the time for it anymore. But God, that those were the fucking days. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I used to play comp Splatoon. I was in a I was I don't know if the stat's still there or if it's even still relevant. I was top 400 in Halo 4 at one point, which
Okay. Right
which
on, dude.
which some would say isn't that impressive because it's Halo 4, but like
I mean, it's Halo. Like that game's iconic as shit.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
It's probably the highest I've ever like gotten in a game. Honestly, was Halo 4. It was also back when I was in the military and had like no life outside of it, so I would play for hours. But yeah, Valorant, any comp games like that or anything?
I'm actually just like recently getting into Valorant again because like I came from CS:GO as well too.
Hmm.
I used to play a little bit of CS:GO. I used to be Distinguished Master Guardian in CS:GO, which is a pretty high rank. I'd highly recommend you go look it up. I think it's like one of the highest ranks out there. It's not like what's it called?
Ascendant or Radiant.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Radiant.
Yeah, it's not like the Radiant for Valorant, right? But
Hmm.
like it's up there. It is up there essentially. It's basically like what a brown belt is for Taekwondo, I guess you could say. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah, no, I was pretty good at CS:GO. And then I started playing Valorant. It's a completely different game. I feel like molasses when I play that game. I'm not gonna lie,
That's why
because like
I'm.
in CS:GO, it's super super fast paced
Mhm.
CS:GO, and then Valorant's a little bit more slower paced. I have to like actually like think a lot more. I have to like think about more. When CS:GO, I could just go 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 and just do
Have
my thing.
you played Team Fortress 2 before?
I have never played TF2 before. However, I heard it was a really really fun game.
If you're more into like the movements and like the going fast for an FPS, I would highly recommend it.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
I I always love like high like
Octane.
fast paced kind of games.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
it's very very fast paced.
is TF2 is it kind of like past its prime? I'm assuming it's past its prime now, right?
It depends on who you ask. Some say it's still in its prime. It's a very very old game. It's just at least relatively speaking, but it still has its charm. It's still fun. It's basically I would call I so someone's gonna fucking wrench me for saying this. I call it simpler Overwatch, um, because while it has more like in depth mechanics, like the skill floor or the skill ceiling is higher than Overwatch, but the skill floor, in my opinion, is lower.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, okay.
but
I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, it's also free, so like there's really no risk. I just think it's a very fun game, and I think more people need to play it. Um, I have days left for saying that. You know what? Uh, yeah, I think it's pretty much it. Unless you have anything you want to interject that you didn't really get to talk about for Pyramid Head. Any anything really you can think of?
I think we've talked about like pretty damn much everything. Like pretty much like darn like everything that you could talk about for Pyramid Head from my understanding at least. At
Yeah.
least like what I can think of.
I mean, unless we want to go into how long is the M2? What's the exact movement speed as you're going? Like, yeah, I get what you're
Jeez.
saying. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as always, I want to thank you for coming on. I know the for those watching this on YouTube right now, this was the first one I did live on the Twitch, which you should follow, by the way. Um, so this was definitely kind of different, not really, but to a degree, it's a different environment. And I want to thank you for understanding the technical issues I've been having and uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Accommodating them. Um, I know the time zone thing kind of got messed up, but it is what it is. We still got it done.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all good, dude. No worries. No
yeah.
worries, no worries.
And before we head out, where can people find you again?
You guys can find me on Twitch. I'm typically live like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You guys can always find me on YouTube, trying to do weekly uploads on there. TikTok, very active on. Um, basically like yeah, just those free social media platforms you guys can find me on.
I got you, and I'll have all that linked below and everything like that.
For
Um,
sure, for sure.
but in any case, if you've made it this far into the video, you're an absolute legend. I love you guys. Have a good one, and yeah. Bye.